Hello everyone, ጤና ይስጥልኝ. My name is Emmeline and you're watching ET A to Z on Arts TV. In Addis, buying a car has become a luxury that so many residents have no other choice than hailing taxis or using public transportation, depending on their budget. Today, we're going to meet the drivers and conductors who know every nook and corner of the city. Let's hit the road. Aklilu, ሰላም ነው? እንዴት ነህ?
How are you?
ደህና
I'm doing good.
ስራ አለ አሁን?
I'm free right now.
እሺ Can you please introduce yourself?
My name is Aklilu Warku. I was born in Addis Ababa. I'm a taxi driver. I became one around 2003 Ethiopian calendar, and I'm still driving a taxi.
Why did you decide to become a taxi driver?
At the time, it was a lucrative job. The job I had before this wasn't much satisfying, so I thought it would be better to be a taxi driver.
But before you were driving a blue Lada car.
At first, I used to drive a Lada taxi. I was a Lada taxi driver for 7 years, then I shifted to driving these yellow taxis. Being a Lada taxi driver was a decent job at the time. You didn't have to apply for anything. All you had to do was just negotiate the price with the people. It was a decent job back then.
Do you know how many Lada cars are left in Addis Ababa?
Can't give you a guess, but recently the government asked people with Lada taxis to register, and around 10 to 11,000 people registered.
Okay.
I would say there are about 30 or 40,000 minimum.
So does that mean that at some point it's gonna disappear?
Well, the government said that they have to change them in order to keep up with the development of the city. But so far, no changes have been made. Half of them aren't working. They're still waiting for the changes to happen.
Okay. Now you're driving this bicha makina. How did you manage to pay for it? Did you buy it by yourself?
No. Back when I was a Lada taxi driver, I had a business license. So the government gave me permission to buy these taxis tax-free. So I paid 30% and Brown Bank offered to lend me 70%. That's how I bought this taxi tax-free. Then in 3 years, I managed to pay off my debts.
Okay, ስለዚህ አሁን ያንተ መኪና ነው። ጥሩ ነው። How is it to be a taxi driver in Addis Ababa?
It's quite hard being a taxi driver in Addis.
ለምን?
First of all, the roads are very crowded. And if the roads are crowded, then the car consumes more gas.
We've seen lately a lot of cars waiting in line to get gas. Actually, at the gas stations are so crowded nowadays.
Most times I have to wake up at 11 before dawn to get in queue to get gas. Sometimes it may even take half a day. And this affects my work because the time I spent being in queue to get gas is time taken away from working. So yeah, getting gas has affected my work.
A lot of taxi hailing companies have been flourishing for the past 5 years, let's say. Has it been helpful for you? Like, have you been earning more money since those platforms have flourished? Or has it been more difficult for you to find customers?
Back then, when there were a lot of taxis, we used to get more work. But now, since there are a lot of taxi applications that you can use, the amount of work we get has increased. But the money we make has decreased.
Was it difficult for you to adapt the new reality of the taxi hailing platforms at first?
It wasn't hard for me. I didn't have much trouble with it.
But I remember that at first you didn't really want to register on the taxi hailing platform, so why?
At first, since we used to just negotiate the price with our customers, we weren't happy with the fixed prices of the applications. So at the time, we didn't want to work for them.
Okay.
But later on, when the applications multiplied, everyone joined in. Almost everyone works for them.
How about the commission that they get from each and every ride?
When we use the application, there's a certain amount of money that's cut. For example, if we use Faras or Ride, if a person is traveling a distance that costs 100 birr, then Faras would take 8 birr and Ride would take 12 birr.
Okay.
So it stings a bit.
Can you tell me how is one of your typical day as a taxi driver in Addis?
There are a lot of things that happen. I've had a lot of good customers and sometimes I've had bad customers. There's a lot. Yes, I've had bad customers. And I've had good customers as well.
And
Yep, just like you.
So can you tell me maybe one funny story of your days as a taxi driver and maybe one story that might not be too funny, like?
Honestly, not a lot of bad things have happened to me.
አሁን ኑሮ እንዴት ነው?
Just like any Ethiopian, any taxi driving Ethiopian, the cost of living affects me in an adverse way. The cost of living these days is a bit much to handle.
ለምን?
It's quite hard. Everything is expensive. Cooking oil has become very expensive. And as I've said, most things have increased in value. Also, the amount of money we make is still the same, even though things have gotten expensive. It's the same amount of money I've been making for the past 4 years. There is no fixed amount of money.
How much do you earn per day?
There are days where you make a good amount, and there are days when you don't. So it's hard to say. But we can estimate and say 500 birr a day. That would be my estimation of what I make in a day.
What kind of support do you need from the government, for example? Because you've said already that life has been difficult, that your salary has decreased. What kind of support would you need from the government?
We don't need much from the government. We just want the price of gas to be fixed. And also if the government can help us solve the problem of the roads being crowded, and if the prices can be fixed for us, then it's good.
አመሰግናለሁ አክሊሉ።
I'm thankful as well.
አሁን ወደ ቦሌ መሄድ እፈልጋለሁ። እንሂድ?
We can, shall we?
People opt for the informal minibus taxi network. Ethiopians call it taxi. It is much cheaper than the contract taxi we took earlier. In order not to get lost, you just need to listen to the conductor who shouts the destination at each stop. Now, brace yourself. ስንት ነው አለቃ? አመሰግናለሁ። የወያላ ስራ ከባድ ነው ወይ?
It is really hard.
በጣም ለምን?
People are not understanding. Also, it is rude calling us Wayala.
ወያላ
Yes, we are supposed to be called the taxi reddat. It means the person who helps the taxi driver.
Oh, we shouldn't call them wayala. We should call them redat assistants, minibus assistants. አለቃ ስምህ ማን ነው?
My name is Tariku.
ታሪኩ እድሜ ስንት ነው?
I am 28 years old.
28?
Yes,
28 ነው? አይደለም።
do I look young?
ደንበኞች እንዴት ናቸው?
My customers are good. I am taking good care of them. It is all good.
ግን አልፎ አልፎ መጥፎ ናቸው ወይ? ደንበኞች
My customers are good.
አልፎ አልፎ ያጋጥማል አንዳንዴ
But sometimes I get bad ones.
If you know your stop, you just need to indicate it to the conductor and say ወራጅ አለ. ታሪኩ ደሞዙም እንዴት ነው?
The amount of energy we spend and the amount of money we make are not proportional, but at least it is not bad.
የምናገለግለው አክል ያው ተጠቃሚዎች አይደለም
ግን በሳምንት ስንት ይሆን?
You can never tell.
ኮሜን የሆነ ነገር አናገኝም በሳምንት
Sometimes we make 500 birr a week. Sometimes we make 200 birr. It is not fixed. It is hard to make ends meet with this kind of income.
አይበዛም።
አይ ይወዛል ኤግዛምፕል እኔ አሁን ለምሳሌ እኔ
For example, I live in a rented house.
የምከፍለው የቤት ኪራይ
I pay around 3,000 birr.
የቤት ኪራይ የምከፍለው እዚህ ጋር የማገኘው ነገር
This amount I make doing this work is not able to cut it.
በጣም የተመጣጠነ ነገር አይደለም ወሰንጋሪ ካባራ ባራሪ ጎባ ባሩ ካራ ወሰን የናት ወሰንጋሪ ካባራ ባራሪ
I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of ETA to Z. See you all next time. አመሰግናለሁ።